There's a lot of trauma from my childhood that led to my preteens, that I was just getting in trouble a lot. I was skipping school. I got really into drugs, mostly pills and smoking. There's a lot of issues I was having.
And as she entered her junior high school years, she just started experimenting with different things. She ended up at one point getting kicked out of public school. The sheriff was called in because she would be obstinate, she'd wrestle. I mean, she just was making some scary choices.
My mom realized she couldn't do it on her own anymore, and so she did a lot of research for a few months, and she found this place. And with a lot of support from friends and family, we were able to afford it and come here.
Mission of Project Patch is to restore hope to teens, build thriving families, and empower supportive communities. We believe that if teens have hope, if families have skills to be able to thrive, then communities become stronger. And it goes both ways. If churches are strong, kids are strong. If kids are strong, it helps make the church strong. So it's kind of this combined mission that we have.
Project Patch was started by founder Tom Sanford in 1984 and operated under the blessing of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in the Pacific Northwest. In the mid-1990s, Patch centered its operations in Garden Valley, Idaho as an independent ministry. Since then, more than 1,000 teens have been served here. Each one spends an average of 14 months working their way up through a 4-level program to the point of completion.
If you meet our kids, they're good kids. The reality, though, is that a lot of good kids don't have the skills to deal with life. They've been faced with circumstances. Some of our kids have trauma. They didn't choose the place that they're in, and a lot of them just don't have the skills to be able to navigate at that point. And so a lot of our kids are great kids that have turned to some really dark ways of dealing with their pain. Self-harm, depression, anxiety, addictions. And so they're kids that need help, they need hope, finding a way to get out of that place that they're in. And so they come here, and hopefully during that time here they get a spark of life, they get some skills on how to live, and they get an understanding that God's got a plan for them.
When I dropped Christina off here, when I came down the gravel road, it's a long road, it feels like a very long road, and I remember looking at the mountains and I'm just thinking, wow, this is beautiful. This is so beautiful. Thank you, Jesus. And I thought, okay, this feels a little better. And then everybody was friendly. I was nervous inside. I was thinking, even though I prayed through the whole thing, knocked on all the doors, walked through them if they open, I still had that question of, am I doing the right thing? Is this going to help? Is she going to hate me and resent me forever? Is she going to think that I gave up on her and just quit?
When parents show up here, it's their worst day imaginable. I mean, if you can imagine a child that you've raised, now you have to put them in the care of someone else. And so our parents are looking for signs that their kid's going to be cared for. And unfortunately, sometimes our buildings give the wrong impression. There's times that things aren't painted, they're not as well maintained as we'd like. And so in those situations, the parents leave with a little bit of fear we don't want them to have.
She gave me the puppy eyes, like, are you sure? And I assured her I loved her and held her. And I didn't know, as a mom, I didn't know, if I cry, she'll pick up my baggage. So I better be strong. If I don't cry, will she interpret that as I just don't care anymore? And so I chose not to cry. And I hugged her and held her as long as they would let me. And then we said goodbye, and I drove up the road here, got up where the cows are on the gravel road, and I stopped my car and I just started bawling. I sat there for a while and cried and prayed over her, prayed over the campus.
For families at such crucial crossroads, Project Patch has served as a saving grace for decades. In some of the first years in Garden Valley, Maranatha was asked to help build up the infrastructure of this critical ministry.
And so Maranatha stepped in early into our project. Early in the 90s, we have pictures of groups helping build the lodge, the core building. After that, really one of the things that we discovered is we don't have staff housing. So Maranatha started building duplexes. And what's interesting is Maranatha comes to do one specific purpose, but there's typically rippling effects. And so as they built something, they were painting another building, they were fixing a double wide, they're putting a roof up, building a carport. And so every time they came, it was kind of like, this is our goal for a duplex, but then all these other things happened. And so built staff duplexes, they came back, built the school for us, came back, built the gymnasium for us, and a number of really big building projects that were our needs. And then in about 2004, they came to us and said, we'd like to build a chapel. And I'll admit that I was an administrator then, and I said, we don't need a chapel. We were meeting in our lodge main building, and I had this feeling like we need our religious, spiritual practices to be infused in all our campus, not just this little building. And they talked to me and said, if we build a chapel, it'll really be a place that you'll be glad that you have. And so I am so glad I was wrong. They built this chapel in 2005 over 2 trips, and it really was an amazing gift. And so for us, this partnership's been an amazing thing, and our campus really reflects that.
The infrastructure Maranatha has helped to provide at Project Patch has set the stage for many life transformations, including Christina's.
In the beginning, I didn't want to be here. It was like a whole year at this place. It's not going to be great. There's just a lot of working. And at first it was like, why are we doing this? Like, we shouldn't have to be mowing all these acres and doing the dishes. And then about halfway through my stay, I really switched gears and was like, why am I fighting this? This is gonna help me. And it really just made me appreciate, it's like they're teaching us life skills. They're teaching us how to live in the real world. At my year 1 mark, when we were coming back from my graduation, we went to town. The cows were there, and the sun was starting to set, and it was just, tears just filled my eyes, because it was like a year ago when I saw this, I was disgusted, didn't want to be here, and it's like, this is just so beautiful. It's like, I came in to this, and I'm getting to leave with this. I think that's the most beautiful part about Patches. You come in with the scenery, and you leave with the scenery, but you're a changed person. I know that Patch is in my heart. I know everything I learned there is there. All of the skills, all of the techniques, all of it's there.
Project Patch has altered the course of many lives over the years. When we come back, Christina returns to Patch, this time as a Maranatha volunteer. From the early days in Idaho, Maranatha had a steady presence at the Project Patch Ranch. Longtime Maranatha board member Ken Casper poured his heart and soul into helping this ministry. Over time, some of those initial volunteers like Ken have passed away or are unable to make it to projects anymore.
One of the hardest things over the years and I've been serving Patch now since 2003 in different capacities. We've met so many volunteers that have been a part of this. One of the hard things was there's been a changing of the guard. People that have served here for years and years and years that gave a lot to build this place. And you get into kind of an autopilot where Maranatha does this and we do this and everyone's used to each other. This trip this year is some of the old faces, but mostly new faces. And for some of us working with Maranatha from our team, it's the first time doing it. And so it's been a real transition, kind of a re-energizing of a long-term relationship. And so it's exciting in a lot of ways, but it's also hard in a lot of ways because it's realizing that some of the people that built this aren't here.
In July 2021, Maranatha returned to Project Patch with this new generation of volunteers. This time, they would be tackling the re-siding of several buildings on campus, including the boys and girls dorms and the cafeteria.
Yeah, so for this project, unfortunately, it's not the most glamorous of jobs. It's not new construction. They're replacing siding that one of our volunteers put up 30 years ago. And our winters are so harsh here. We get a lot of snow, we get a lot of ice, and so over the years our sidings failed us. And so they're replacing siding. Our windows were probably top of the line technology when they put them in, but are aluminum windows that aren't energy efficient. They've clouded over the years, and so Maranatha is being a part of replacing the windows. And as we do Maranatha trips, what I love is that the list that we started with keeps getting longer and longer and longer, so we've got years of work to do here.
Each time Maranatha volunteers come, they are providing an invaluable service to busy staff who don't have the time to be able to work on the facilities.
For our team here, we have 30 some staff that work with the kids. And when our teens are here on campus, it's an unpredictable time of their life. I mean, it's a beautiful time of change, but at the same time, we're here for the kids. And so there's times that our staff and kids are wanting to do some maintenance, or wanting to do some building, or wanting to look at what's possible. And so as we look at Maranatha coming beside us to do this work, they're the ones that say, hey, have you thought about doing this for your building? Have you thought about doing this for your maintenance? Have you thought about this other need that you have? And so Maranatha has been a big part of just shaping even what our campus looks like.
Maranatha has maintained a long-term relationship with Project Patch, helping to grow the facilities to meet whatever needs are required. This partnership has helped to allow Patch to keep their main focus on the teens.
It's interesting because for most organizations, when you look at partnerships, you look at some sort of defined piece of paper, something that keeps you at the table. With Maranatha, we've never had a signed contract that says, you guys are in this for life. And so for us to have years and years of being able to count on Maranatha showing up when they're asked has been an amazing thing.
Jody Baxter was first introduced to Project Patch as a concerned parent, but now works here as a caring staff member. She is experiencing Maranatha's support for the first time.
Maranatha being here, volunteering all their time and making improvements shows myself, the staff, and our kids, our residents, that people care. They really care. It's not just a bad, cold world full of just bad, selfish, cold people. People genuinely want to help. And I know in my personal life, my daughter, who's in Washington currently living, when she wanted to come and see Mom, I told her, I said, I can't take time off because we have Maranatha here and they're working on our campus. And she said, that's all right. She said, how about if I volunteer and I give back with them?
If I didn't come here and these people didn't help me, it's like I might not be on this earth today. And so just seeing them, it's like, I wish I could do more. I wish I could do the most, but you can only do so much. But it's like, just that little bit helps. It's like when we're in the kitchen working, it's like, I just want to go in the washroom and do the dishes for them, because it's like, it's just, I don't know, it's like, that's what I feel like I should be doing sitting here, is I should be doing these things. Even though I'm not a resident anymore, I feel like I should be giving back like that.
There's times that what brings Maranatha back here, it's not an easy day at Patch. It's not necessarily the most comfortable place, although we try to make it comfortable for them. But I think once someone comes here and they see our kids, they see what's happening for kids, there's a lot of Maranatha people that feel a lot of pain for children that they feel are lost. Whether it's their own children that are struggling, or they see kids in their church that they've lost hope for. And so I think part of why they come back year after year as a partnership is this feels like maybe they can't serve that kid that's struggling, but they can do something about it. So it's been a partnership where I think they're in it as much as we are for the kids' sake. They just express it through hammers and saws and hard work, not necessarily the counseling and those kind of things, but the same level of care. And so really, I can't imagine this place being what it is without Maranatha. I can tell you that our buildings wouldn't be kept up as well, that things wouldn't have been built as nicely. Maranatha's been a great partner, and so I can't imagine doing this without them.